but none of us know what it is right now, so you should not blindly follow your instincts and reject each other, Perseus said. You should try to get to know each other, understand each other, and eventually accept each other and strive to get along peacefully. Is this what you wanted? Bai Yin asked. Of course, because I don't want to see anything happen to either of you, Perseus said. I can try. Bai Yin hesitated for a moment, but I'm not sure what she's thinking. She doesn't want to be your enemy either, Perseus said with certainty. I know you don't either. I don't want to be enemies with anyone, Bai Yin said. I've always believed that people should live in peace and not disturb each other, but I will never be lenient with those who try to disrupt this order. Her deeds are known to everyone in Eagle Peak City, young and old. If it weren't for those bloody cases constantly reminding everyone, she wouldn't be able to enjoy such a peaceful life. Peaceful coexistence is the way to go, but not disturbing each other is not so absolute, Perseus asked. My coming to see you is also a disturbance, so will you attack me? You're different, Bai Yin said. What's different? Perseus asked intently. It's just different, Bai Yin repeated uncertainly. It's just different. It seems she doesn't know what's different about him either, which is really puzzling. Perseus looked at the white flames and suddenly felt a surge of courage to continue probing. Would you find this annoying? As Perseus spoke, he placed his hand on White Flame's shoulder. Bai Yin thought for a moment and then shook his head. How about this? He took Bai Yan's hand. Bai Yin shook his head again. So what? He gently stroked Bai Yan's cheek. Bai Yin stared straight at him, neither shaking her head nor nodding. I don't dislike it, she said. Perseus was pleased with this, but then he didn't know what to do next. If he continues, he can only touch certain very extreme parts of the body. If it were an ordinary person, they would definitely turn on him. If Bai Yin turned on him, he would die a very ugly death immediately. But even if he doesn't turn against him, it will still give him a headache. He always kept in mind Lady Ivisa's reminder not to fall in love with Bai Yin. Although he now knows that Bai Yin is a girl, he has no psychological barriers to liking her or being liked by her. However, it is rare for Ivisa to make a request of him, which is something he is eager to do. How can he refuse? He disobeyed, and Ivisa is unhappy. What should he do? Lost in thought, he suddenly felt a ticklish sensation on his palm. Upon closer inspection, he realized that Bai Yin was rubbing his face against his palm with a blank expression, which almost made him vomit blood from cuteness. Ivisa isn't that cute. No, if he keeps thinking about it, he'll start to waver. Perseus quickly withdrew his hand, for the first time having to force himself to look with clear eyes at a girl so beautiful that he couldn't help himself. When will you two meet? Perseus said. Let's sit down and have a good talk. Bai Yin did not answer. Miss Bai Yin, do you have any concerns about this? Perseus asked with a smile. No concerns. That's great. I'll arrange for you to meet as soon as possible. Perseus knew that bringing these two people who hated each other together was a very risky thing to do. They might start fighting on the spot if they disagreed. But this is a risk that must be taken. Without communication, the existing gaps will only widen until they become irreconcilable. Perseus must do everything in his power to make the greatest effort before things become irreparable. Are you leaving? Bai Yin asked. Perseus paused, then nodded. Yes, I need to go back and talk to her. Besides, even if it wasn't him, he couldn't possibly stay here forever. Could he? But Bai Yin seemed somewhat reluctant to leave. But she chose to remain silent, as if to say, let him do as he pleases. How could this be okay? It's all because of her face. He couldn't bear to see her depressed, even if it killed him. When Ivisa was in a bad mood, he would rack his brains to cheer her up. However, some of the methods used to appease Ivisa cannot be used on Bai Yin. After thinking about it, I decided to solve the problem at its source. Come back with me, Perseus said with a smile. Admittedly, there are risks involved in doing so. The powerful and cunning Prince Zog is currently at the Earl's mansion, and Bai Yin is one of the very few people he deeply fears. If he were to bring Bai Yin there, who knows what that old fox Zog would think? Anyway, no matter how you look at it, it's not good for him. But it's worth it, even if it means becoming enemies with Zog. The reason is simple. Bai Yin's strength, which even Zog fears, is exactly what he desperately desires. If he could build a good relationship with Bai Yin and make her willing to do things for him, the strength of that help would be self-evident. Okay, Bai Yin replied without hesitation. Her unhappiness visibly disappeared. Perseus was pleased, but inwardly he was lamenting. While Zog was certainly a great threat, what frightened him even more was Miss Ivisa. Ivisa's jealousy was something he had always dreamed of. But if she really gets jealous, he'll have a splitting headache. After all, everyone knows that a jealous woman is terrifying. They're capable of anything. However, this is also a very unique flavor. Perseus smiled until he was led by the hand by Bai Yin. This damn irresistible charm. Chapter 199, Dreams and Delusions. The two people waiting outside had been silent for a long time. Andre and Aesop had been gone for a long time and hadn't returned, which made Lovia very anxious. She really didn't want to believe that Andre would be bewitched by a country girl he had only known for a few hours, but the cruel reality was right in front of him. Even if Andre hadn't been bewitched yet, he had placed that girl named Aesop in a special position. She's much more special than me. She and Andre have known each other since childhood, but they have probably spoken less to each other than Aesop and Andre have spoken in half a day today. It's all Perseus's fault. Lovia was so angry that she gritted her teeth, wishing she could rush in and grab Perseus and beat him up. However, she couldn't do that. Even when she was furious, she could only endure it, even when it felt like ants were crawling all over her body. She didn't know how much longer she had to endure it, or how much longer she could bear it. She continued to endure it. Just as she was about to lose her seat, the door opened. The girl next to her, named Alice, stood up even before her. Lovia remained expressionless, her eyes meeting the two faces she loathed and hated most in the world. Perseus, and that guy named Bai Yin who looks exactly like Ivisa. She instinctively wanted to frown, but immediately her expression turned strange. These two people were holding hands. She remembered that Bai Yin wasn't a man. How could this happen? Alice murmured, her face pale. Lovia wanted to ask the same question, but she would never ask either of them a question. She didn't even want to look at them, although she was indeed full of questions. Perseus remained calm, but he was itching all over. Although Miss Bai Yin's small hands were very soft and felt nice to hold, it was precisely this woman's hand that he absolutely could not hold. If Ivisa sees him, his good days are over. Where are Alice, Aesop, and my cousin? Perseus asked. They went over there to chat. I'll go call them. Alice's expression was complicated as she turned and walked in one direction. No need, I'll go. I can run fast, Perseus said considerately. He wanted to take this opportunity to shake off Bai Yin's hand so that he wouldn't be unable to get into Ivisa's bed tonight. The thought of the cold, unfeeling ceiling sent shivers down his spine. No, I'll go. Alice let out a loud, tearful scream and ran away in a flash. Perseus, his wicked scheme thwarted, looked pained. He had almost forgotten that none of the Bloodfang adventurers were normal. Even he couldn't guess what kind of feelings Miss Alice was currently experiencing. Aesop, who was quietly listening to Andre's story, noticed her best friend's arrival. The change in her eyes caught Andre's attention, and the two looked over together. Alice, what's wrong? Aesop asked. Did someone bully you? No. Alice growled, covering her eyes. Then why did you become like this? Aesop frowned. Did something happen? Her expression suddenly changed. Could it be? My brother and the others are dead. It's even worse than that. Alice exclaimed indignantly. That Perseus guy was actually holding Lord Whiteflame's hand. I've never even held his hand. Aesop stared blankly. Isn't Lord Whiteflame a man? That guy's a lecherous, perverted gorilla. Even a man couldn't escape his clutches if he were as beautiful as Lady Bai Yin. Wow. Perhaps there's something more to this than meets the eye? Okay. Stop crying. Aesop hugged Alice and patted her back, gently comforting her. Have they come out yet? Andre asked calmly. I'll go ahead first. You all catch up as soon as possible. Andre walked away with a brisk pace, and Alice cried even more bitterly. Aesop was exasperated. Little miss, what are you crying about? We can't handle someone like Lord Bai Yin. I gave up a long time ago, and you should give up too. But don't be sad. Perseus said he would introduce you to a good man. I don't want him to introduce me to any men. Alice cried out indignantly. Without Lord Bai Yin, I could never fall in love with any other man again. Don't speak so soon, Aesop sighed. Look at the man he introduced me to. I've never seen such a handsome man before. He promised me that the one he introduced to you will definitely not be worse than me. Alice's crying stopped abruptly. Really? Alice asked softly, her eyes red and swollen. If the goods don't match the description, I'll go with you to settle the score with him. Aesop laughed heartily. Although he's cunning and treacherous, his promises seem quite trustworthy. I didn't believe him at first, but now I do. He's truly an honest and reliable fellow. But he stole Lord Bai Yin. Lord Whiteflame was never yours to begin with, Aesop said mercilessly. Alice opened her mouth wide again, her face filled with grief. Stop howling. Aesop couldn't take it anymore and glared fiercely at Alice. You need to learn to be strong. There are plenty of men in this world, and good men are few and far between. But if you look carefully, you can always find one. There are plenty who are even better than Lord Whiteflame. Now, Perseus is about to deliver such a man to you for free. What more could you want? But I really hate that guy right now. Even if he's trustworthy, I don't want to believe him. Alice pouted. How many good men could someone as bad as him know? And even if he's a good man, he might not be my type. Aesop thought for a moment. I've known you for so long, and I still don't know what kind of man you like. Why don't we take this opportunity to talk about it? I like tall, handsome guys who are strong, but not clumsy at all. The more handsome, the better. Alice's eyes gradually lit up. He must be upright, kind, responsible, and have a strong sense of duty. He absolutely cannot be a despicable and shameless treacherous guy like Perseus. He must be as bright and warm as the sun. Ideally, he should be a prince, she added. Why does he have to be a prince? Aesop asked. Is that even a question? Alice asked, bewildered. Isn't marrying a prince every girl's dream? Even if it doesn't come true in the end, it's still okay to dream about it. Aesop nodded with a smile. Alas, Alice sighed. But how could that be possible? My conditions are already very demanding. If I were to ask for a prince as well, that would not be a dream, but a delusion. I'm not that naive, so I don't have high expectations for the person Perseus is going to introduce to me. As long as he's a good person, I'm willing to try to get to know him. The best way to forget a past relationship is to start a new one. Alice put on a strong and resolute appearance, but her body was still trembling. Actually, you can totally indulge in a little wishful thinking, Aesop said earnestly. What are you talking about? Don't joke around, Alice said irritably. You'll see when the time comes, Aesop said, putting his arm around Alice's shoulder. The amazing Perseus is best at creating miracles. Why do you trust a guy so much now? It feels disgusting, Alice said coldly. Because he is simply an angel. He has sent me to heaven, Aesop said solemnly. Heaven? It's anywhere Andy is. How disgusting. None of your business. Chapter 200 No Way Out. Andre rushed back as fast as he could, then stood there frozen in place. Perseus and Whiteflame were standing there hand in hand. Even though he already knew that Bai Yin and I